在看，我在看。I did not realize. Anybody hear me? Sorry, just testing things out. Can you see me? Do you still see the eclipse? All right, duly noted. So anyway, not much going on right now. I been trying to how should I put this? Basically, I'm trying out some other things, see if we can run shows a little better, slightly different way. So, hello all, hello Linda, Drew, Smith family, hello. Yeah, it's just kind of a morning hangout. Nothing too fancy going on right now. Well, maybe you never know. It is me we're talking about. Oh lordy. So, how is everybody? So, I'm running this through Melon right now, which is what I usually use for my gaming videos. But I did just link up all the Bald and Bonkers stuff to it. Now, Drew, I'm actually using Melon right now. And Smith family, oh, thank you. We'll start putting comments on the screen so people know what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's see. No, Drew, I'm actually using Melon, which is what like I said, often what I use for my gaming videos because it links up a little better and integrates a lot better. Oh, so that's your real name. I didn't know that. So, Dobby, see you're watching us through Facebook. Anyway, like I said, nothing too special going on right now. That we do have some stuff. We do have some stuff kind of going on behind the scenes, but I don't want to reveal too much, if you know what I mean. Because, well, I want to make sure things are set in stone before I ramble too much. Unlike, unlike some people I know, Christopher. All right. So, I do want to go into what my ideas for tonight's show are. It is kind of a topic we bounced around for a little bit, but not really got into how it works. And I also want to try to answer some questions with the documentary because there's still people that have been hitting me up about it. Like I said, that's pretty much on me for not holding back a bit more. That one's on me because there's still a lot that's in the air, and it's pretty obvious that the people asking the questions don't really know how this process works, and it's a bitch, to say the least. So tonight, well, I'm going to start out with tonight's episode for Contact because it does kind of lead into my plans for the documentary. Try to elaborate what some of those are because even though I'm trying to explain it as easy as I can, it seems there's some people getting confused. I thought it's okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'll screw you, Drew. Oh, screw you. Oh, dear God. I hope that's showing on the screen. Oh, huh. That's weird. Oh, it says I'm in there, so. Anyway, so tonight, like I said, everybody's distracting me here. And like I said, we're wanting to talk a bit on star seeds. Now, the reason why I named the episode Calling All Star Seeds was because, one, we do want to try to alleviate some of the confusion, try to present real facts out there. Because stuff like this, people tend to get confused as some sort of religious aspect. In fact, it has actually been found that the subject of UFOs registers in the brain a lot like religion does. So there's probably going to be some viewer discretion advised warnings popping up for more than just when Mike comes on. But anyway, it's a topic that we've been bouncing around a lot, especially when we're talking about abduction scenarios, reincarnation, and honestly, if you look at my first impressions before I really started taking any of this UFO stuff into consideration with my own situation, was that starseed was being treated as a term for people who were lost souls. And what I mean is that they feel out of place in life. They don't feel like they're from here. They don't really fit in with any of their normal social classes that may be in their direct vicinity. So a lot like how religion, Wicca, many pagan rituals, several cults, they use this need to try to fulfill self-identity, and honestly, it can drive people to some very disturbing outcomes if not careful. However, I do believe there's a bit of a science to it. And Elena Denon, when we had her on, she actually talked about one of my suspicions in that regard, which I'll go into a little bit right now, is that just like how blood and organ transfusions have to be a match for the certain bodies they want to go into, does the soul have its own? Is there like a soul type where if the wrong kind of soul gets matched up with the wrong kind of body, what happens then? You know? Who knows? This is kind of a morbid take, but maybe that's one of the reasons why. If you got something to say, speak up. Anyway, I mean, think about it. It's about the 3-month marker that the fetus in humans is developed enough to take on a soul. So what if miscarriages around that time frame? What if some of those are soul rejections? Here, we'll put up this comment from Drew's Paranormal Vlog. Show on stream. Sorry, still learning all this stuff. Here's the thing. You have to be very careful with terminology like that. I'm just using that as an example because God particle gets very confused. People hear God, they assume that it's some sort of religious aspect, when essentially the God particle is something in quantum physics that defies all odds, defies all explanations. There's still a lot we don't know. Starseeds aren't necessarily anybody special. They're older souls who have come through reincarnation cycles, through multiple planes, multiple planets, things of that nature. And that's stuff I want to get into tonight, because there's apparently a whole program behind it. And we'll see if Chris will actually let me fucking talk so we can talk about this. Because not a lot of people realize this. There is some speculation. Now, again, if it's purely speculation, it would be hard to determine what it actually is. But terms like morning star, which both Jesus and Lucifer have been referred to in Christian texts, just as an example. It is said that followers of Christ actually talked about mass arrivals of starseeds. I'm going to try to brush myself up on this before we go on tonight. And that when that happens, the one common thing throughout all explanations is that there's getting ready to be a huge shift in the planet. If anything, the starseed programs, the envoys, almost seems like a loophole. They can't directly interfere. The soul can come here. So they figured out how to direct souls to different planets, to different bodies. There's a match being made. There's even times where family bloodlines are altered over the course of history to ensure those souls are a match for the bodies. Elena was talking about this. And I've been going through some meditation, basically some abduction regression therapies to try to help me remember more details. And that's more stuff I want to get into tonight. Because I said before that it seems like what was I saying? Well, in my case, a lot of the stuff seemed to come from my father's side of the family. But with that information and with what Elena said, apparently abductions are going on for both sides, and I'm just the one that finally started putting things together. See, here, Drew, you make another good point. I'm trying to get this to show on stream. You make a very good point here. There's a lot of confusion that goes on with this topic. And don't get me wrong, I love Chris like a brother, but sometimes the way he presents things adds to it. It fuels to the maybe we'll never know. And as someone who tries to bridge the gap between science and spirit, that can come across as kind of ignorant in some cases. This is just my approach. That's his approach. Somehow, the banter between us has been helping with the shows, much to my surprise. Which then goes to lead into the documentary. Because there's been some people asking me, oh, when's it going to come out? When's it going to start filming? And this is stuff I wanted to announce on last night's show, but got kind of distracted when I heard voices coming through sounding like they were calling me by my name. And of course, looking back through the playbacks, it's not necessarily there. There's a few good YouTubers I could chat to find out more. See, very good questions here. Very good questions. See, this is what I'm loving. Exactly. What's the purpose behind it? That's what I want to go into tonight. And maybe, just maybe, we can try to bring in some people. I know apparently Mike has some thoughts on this. I would love to hear his opinions. Try to bring in some people because to turn it into a bit of a case study. Because this is not exactly something that's easy to test by scientific means. And there's also a lot of people that assume because it can't be tested by scientific means it doesn't exist. No. The problem that a lot of people don't realize, we're talking about people dying and something somehow coming back. How can we morally test that? Now, granted, you may have some morbid people that are into the supernatural who would okay for their loved ones to have cameras on, but their loved ones aren't exactly going to be in the right state of mind to be able to properly collect that evidence when someone they care about is dying. We can't exactly go around killing people to see how long it takes for them to come back as a ghost. We can't exactly rely on some random child who's barely old enough to start talking to rat out their killer from the past life. It's happened, but it's not exactly something we can rely on, and that's also what adds to the confusion. But maybe if we actually sit down and talk, instead of getting bullheaded, instead of trying to, make it all mystical, we can maybe find out some answers, figure out the real star seeds, so we can maybe make some progress. See what I mean? And here, living histories, mysteries, dying and coming back. I've done that too, a few times. But still, do we really want to morally take that risk? And this is kind of some stuff I want to go into with the documentary. So to kind of segue here, so I'm not just rambling on forever, because thank God my sister just left for work, because she could tell you I can ramble. My longest time she ever timed me was 5 hours straight. Anyway. And when it comes to subjects like starseeds, that is something that I want to explore in the documentary, as well as a few other topics. So now there's a lot of people that have been messaging, oh, when are we going to do this? What if I do this? What if I do this? What if I do this? Anybody who's actually been paying attention to the shows knows that every time we go to bring this up, something new comes in. That either goes like, oh, wait, that connects to that, or that. Oh, see, there's so much confusion. It's exactly what I'm saying here, Drew. Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. First, we need to find out how the hell to define it. Because isn't it one of the biggest arguments about when it comes to ghost hunting is that nobody can exactly agree on what a ghost is? To which I understand the intentions behind the argument, but the fights that go on by people saying they're ghost hunting wrong, or they say, oh, there's no real way to ghost hunt. I understand what they're saying that behind that, but that's also leaving a lot of leeway for a lot of confusion. And a lot of people who were highly skeptical, it's not that they don't necessarily believe it could be possible, but they're highly skeptical because they know how easy it is for humans to... There was just a golden orb that just flew in the corner over here. And that's actually going to bring me to another point. There's so much confusion with this. The best way I know to describe it, and if anybody has another way to try to break it to people even younger than me who are not going to get this reference, there's so much information out there. The human mind, as it is now, it doesn't matter if you're psychic or not. The human mind works a lot like old TV sets. Remember when you wanted to play a movie or play Nintendo and you had to change it to like channel 3 or channel 4? That's essentially what we got going on. There's so much information, we can only channel it to certain things. Therefore, we get confused. So with this documentary, I want to try to elaborate what these star seeds are. Try to talk into some of the journeys that have been going on. I mean, Damocles from Sotto Voce. When it went off air, I'm not going to go too far into detail. After we ended up revealing her real name on the show, she talked with Chris and I about an experience she believes was a staged memory. For those of you who don't know, a staged memory is what a lot of abduction researchers believe is a situation where an abductee contactee is taken, but in order to protect that person, because what they were doing is too much for them to comprehend at that moment, they mask the memory. I'm not going to go into detail. That's her story to share. We have talked a little bit through email about potentially collaborating a bit more, so we'll see how that goes. But again, try to help bring forward all the facts of what's going on. Just think about it. The human mind literally changes every moment. Everything you eat, everything you drink. I'm changing the structure of your brain as you watch this video. This has actually been proven. This is what makes the human brain so hard to study. Because how can you study something that constantly changes? And for those who we've talked to with the documentary, who have been asking, okay, what's the plan? What's the structure here? I'm trying to keep this as open-ended as possible because there is a very, very high chance that the second we all start getting into it even more, something new is going to happen. Now, we can establish our backgrounds, which is part of what I have in mind. So, minor announcement here. On May 14th, I'm going to be opening up casting calls through the Bald and Bonkers website. I'm also going to I do have some connections within media, within Hollywood circuit for acting circuits, to where we can post out casting calls to reach out to even more people. My plan here is there's going to be essentially be two separate casting calls. One for anybody who can contribute what they think the subject is. Whether you're a skeptic, whether you believe it, contribute what you think is going on with the UFOs topic, disclosure, anything like that. There will be a second one as well for people who believe they've had experiences. It will also leave things opened up to where they can submit their own evidence if they believe they captured something. Photos, video, hell, even audio recording. I want to try to send this out and include as many people as possible from as many different backgrounds. I mean, because even though the topic isn't as taboo, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Even though the topic isn't as taboo as it was like 5-10 years ago, there's still a lot of people who have this assumption that it's mentally crazy people that are being abducted by aliens. But here's the thing. This is a topic that even some of the most brilliant minds on Earth have speculated to have some truth behind it. There's one quote from, I believe the book is called From a Demonic Infested World or something along those lines. It's by Carl Sagan. There's a quote I've seen float around on Facebook quite from time to time that talks about the potential of life after death. The Loch Ness Monster was an example. I can't remember the exact quote, but essentially what he's saying is that maybe there's truth here. Because that story I mentioned earlier, where the child in India, if I remember correctly, the second he started becoming old enough to talk, he started talking about details of his past life his family managed to arrange to go to that village, and that child was able to point out where the body from his past life was buried. He could point out who his killer was, and even his wife from the previous reincarnation recognized him. And you know what, Drew? If you want to put a bug in their ear, by all means, send them my way. Because, I mean, think about it. Yes, there is a lot of stigma here. But if we simply just ignore that this stuff can happen, we could be very well experiencing the greatest discoveries that would completely rewrite history. And that's what I want to reiterate. And with the documentary itself, I wanted to try to put it in the perspective of a contactee. You know, the kind of insecurities from not knowing what's going on. There was on the Elena Denon interview, the most recent one on the Bald and Bonkers channel, there was a bit of a troll who tried to say Elena was disturbed by the trailer. That I know that at least everybody who's been in this room has seen. It's the exact same trailer. Unfortunately, some financial restrictions that have come up made it to where I couldn't renew my stock footage subscriptions where I can make more cool trailers like that. But they tried to say that, oh, Elena was disturbed and they were too. It plays out like a horror movie. If you think that's horror, I can show you real horror. But nevertheless, the vibe I was trying to go for is that insecurity at first. You know something's not right. You all of a sudden there's these strange looking people that are visiting you frequently. And if anybody was going to be as less disturbed, it would have been Elena, as someone who has actually sat down and read her book. I know there's a lot of people who say they read it, but they mostly skim through it to look through all of the profiles on the ET species. Which, granted, I don't blame them. It's kind of interesting to find out what's out there. Because just look at the variety of life on Earth. How can we say that there's absolutely no chance of there being life elsewhere in the cosmos when we have creatures on this Earth that fit absolutely extreme circumstances? Now, there's beings that have never seen the light of day because they are so deep into the oceans. We have literally cracked open old cave systems and found dozens and dozens, hundreds even, of undiscovered species that have never seen the light of day and adapted as such. There's so much potential with just life on Earth. There's a clip I used in one of my old documentaries. It's called Bonds of Beyond, where it's a quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson saying we're looking at the Earth to kind of define what's the potential out there, but we're only looking at such a small sample. There's so much potential out there. I mean, there's people that have tried to look at the whole ET wife and children situation that I have going on. They're trying to say, oh, he's lying. He's trying to make himself sound more interesting. Think about what I'm saying right there. Think about what I'm saying with that. Uh, I'm coming out and saying that I'm such a weirdo that no woman on earth would risk me. Now, who in their right mind would try to get attention that way? Hmm? There we go. So, for those of you who are asking about the documentary, about how it's going to start, sit tight. There's going to be those casting calls I mentioned for those, for like I said, anybody who wants to just say what they think is going on, whether they believe it or completely skeptical about it. All I ask is that you be respectful. You start trolling us, we can track you down. And I'm saying that because there's been some awfully familiar, suspicious logins to some of our accounts lately. And we already got to track down to who it is. So, hi. Missed you. Well, missed, the good times. But I just want to throw that out there. So there's going to be those casting calls for those who just want to talk about what they think is going on, whether they've done research on it or they think they've seen something, or they can also contribute their own evidence. And those who contribute their own evidence, we may want to talk with you a little further. And technically, Drew, you already are involved. Because part of my plan is to reuse footage. Oh, damn. Sorry about that. Reuse footage from the shows we've already recorded. Oh, hold on. It is Bald and Bonkers Corporation. No, it's an LLC. We are not a corporation. We don't have the fucking money. All right, that's actually a good question. So here's the thing. We also do have a Kickstarter running right now. We're not getting a lot of hits on. We are trying to get some funding together to truly go all out. And I have been sitting in some meetings to try to get some grants. We're not necessarily going to try to fly everybody out. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to show that this is hitting everyone. This is not just happening in one spot, one weird location in the world. We're trying to show as much of the world to this as possible. So the casting calls will be self-recorded. And believe it or not, there's actually been a lot of more of that coming back since. Yeah, I know it's. Okay, yeah, Drew, I just want to make that distinction right now because there's a lot of people, Chris included, who know about everything I got going on that immediately assume I'm some secret billionaire. Like, I fucking wish. So anyway, Drew, you can actually go on to the Bald and Bonkers main website. Here, I'll get the link in the chat real quick. Let me know if you guys see it when I do. I actually have a spot set up on the main website to help get all the links together in one spot. So, oh, come on. Looks like I gotta update the website. Anyway. There it is, right there. Use one of the Bald and Bonkers. Anyway, there's the link right there. It'll have some buttons. that you can click on to take you to the Kickstarter and to the casting calls. There's going to be little forms on there that'll help put everything together. It's not to steal your information or anything like that. I had to say that because we had some asshole flag us because we didn't invite him on the show even though he used the form, because he said, oh, scheduling is going to be hard because of my job. If you're not sure you're going to make it, don't fill out the damn thing. All right. So, that's all I do want to say right now. Don't want to spoil too much for the show tonight. Take care, y'all. Remember, Bald and Bonkers Network channel tonight. The podcasts, the audio versions of the shows should be going out here shortly. Much love. Stay safe. Stay weird. See you on the other side.